Okay, well, welcome back. We are in weeks 2, 3. Again, we're on the second section on modern capitalism, so let's just jump right in where we were. All right, so as I said before, we're looking at World War I as a crime scene. It is the murder, the area that has all the dead bodies lying all over the place. And so we're kind of looking at it from the standpoint of a detective. We looked at the situations. Every situation is different for every single person, every single people group, every single nation or empire. They're all looking at this, the world from different angles. That's presenting unique problems and opportunities for each of them, and they're making certain decisions based on that, creating new situations, and that cycle is spinning faster and faster. We looked at the instability of currency and that they went to an international gold standard. When I say international, I mean that it's the major players, the big players. So you had Britain, you had France, you had Germany, and you had the United States all working on the same gold standard. Money was based on gold. That presented much stability. But it also created certain problems. It got to be so big, so massive, that there was a need to sort of separate the individual from the risks and from the whole center of gravity, so to speak, of this trade and business. And this is where we have to come into an organization. We got to organize this. We got to organize the spinning wheel. How do we manage that, those decisions that are being made? Well, part of that is through the expansion of corporations and corporate power. And those two are our big ones. And I want to break those down a little bit because a lot of people don't understand corporations or what they're for. They just think it's business. So what is a corporation? Well, a corporation, well, I'll tell you what, let me give you an example. Let's say I own a mill. I make textiles, I make clothes. I want to keep up with business, and my business is getting so big, and I have all of my family money into it, that if anything goes wrong, that particular, with the company, the supplies, my trade kind of dies down, a war breaks out, and I can't sell my product anymore, all that responsibility, that financial burden falls on me and my family. So during this time period, we have an expansion, an explosion of corporations. And a corporation means I'm going to go through a bank, go through some other financial institute, and I'm going to set up a pretend person, a pretend entity. We're going to call this Mr. Jones. This is Mr. Jones Corporation. Mr. Jones is the one that's going to basically own my mill now. I'm going to work through him. I will put part of my money in. Other people, investors, will put money into Mr. Jones, and Mr. Jones will kind of make this thing go. That's the way it happens. Now, if something happens to the organization, again, war breaks out, I can't sell my product, whatever, then Mr. Jones's business goes down the tank. It just completely falls apart. But I'm not the one that holds the financial burden anymore. It's Mr. Jones. It's the corporation. It's the legal legal owner, so to speak. So I have limited liability. I have limited responsibility to that organization. And by separating me, the family guy, from the business, I'm much more willing to do a lot more investing. If the risk is less to me, then I am more willing to invest and get bigger. And that's why corporations get monstrously big. The cartoon character that comes out is the gigantic squid or octopus that has its arms around and is controlling everything. That's the idea that sort of emerges out of corporations. And that's not necessarily a good idea. This is one. It's called the traction monster. Again, big tentacles. It's characterized by things like a monopoly. It controls all of one industry, and nobody else has the ability to compete with that particular industry. This happens to be the Subway franchise. that was in one of the big cities. Another one was the Standard Oil Company. Again, big, gigantic monsters. All the tentacles are wrapped around like the House of Representatives, the presidents, the White House, et cetera, meaning that these organizations are so monstrously large and have their tentacles in almost everything, and everybody has money into those organizations, that the normal politics of things starts to dwindle. Business, these massive corporations begin to influence and put pressure on powers that be. And so they become these massive powers that you have to deal with. Other components that come out of this emergence of corporations is a new class of employees. This means that if it's massive like that, I need supervisors, I need managers and directors that are able to look over and provide oversight to all these different aspects of my business. I need specialists and professionals in specific areas. This era is a massive era for engineers and lawyers and doctors and financial experts and accounting and things of that sort. And you end up with what was termed the modern office. This was something that is new. If you look at the bottom, you see a bunch of ladies sitting there with typewriters, and it's they're all lined up. They're just click, 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 click. They're doing all of their secretarial type of work. That was the new office, the modern office. The managers, the people that ran things and made big decisions, they're probably in the back rooms. This is, again, a time of the assembly line. Even the manufacturing, even the factories had a change. Instead of me trying to put together an entire automobile, I may be responsible of only putting on the front driver's side wheel, and that's all I do. I just stand in front of that area, I pick up my wheel, put it on, put the nut on, and I'm done. And it moves on, and someone else does the rest. This becomes highly specialized kind of work. Well, of course, that's going to mean that this working class, all these different levels of working class people, they're going to get massive. You're talking hundreds of thousands of people that are now filling these corporations to make these corporate entities functional and profitable. And that's going to create a new situation for the workers. So you have the situation, you have a regular ordinary factory worker, but now everybody's in the factory. Your numbers are starting to get larger and larger. Think of it sort of like an army. So the army's getting bigger and bigger and bolder. Now they want more and more. They want better wages. They want better working conditions. They want more time off, et cetera, et cetera. So that's their new situation, and they are going to start fighting back. So you have the rise of unions and the rise of conflicts. This one is the Pullman strike. There were actually two of them. In 1894, that's one of the Pullman manufacturing buildings. That's where they made these really luxurious travel boxcars, I guess you could call them, for trains. And the workers are the ones in the closest to you down at the bottom, and everybody in front. Those are all the local police, the local militia, and soldiers, et cetera, preventing the workers from getting in. But that was a modern strike. Just as a little side note, I don't want to do rabbit trails, but the idea of Marxism and communism is also going to come out of this type of time frame and this condition of the working class, the regular, ordinary working class man, and who's going to take care of that particular person. So in summary, we're looking at this great acceleration, this massive movement of forces and powers and change. The Second Industrial Revolution, we talked about that and how it's bringing about incredible amounts of change, not only in industry, but in society. The standardization of currency is another one, allowing for very rapid exchange of goods and monies and financial instruments like bonds or in foreign investments. People are now intertangled with one another, and so what one country is doing now really is affected by another country or vice versa. And then the organization of industry. We have a social shift with the working class rising. It's now the majority. The majority. It's not the owners of the organizations, it's not the executives, it's the worker who is now the biggest and most powerful, and they're organizing. They are becoming unionized. And then, of course, the idea of industrial power. These corporations, these big businesses, these financial institutions and banks that all now are sort of acting as emperors and armies throughout the world. And so all of these are going to come together. They're all going to start spinning the wheel again. And somewhere along the line, someone's going to take a spear or something and go, whew. I just threw my pointer. So, how's that for visual? Going to throw it right in the middle of that spinning wheel, and it's going to stop, and the world is going to explode. And that's what we're looking forward to as we move forward into next week, as we look at alliances and treaties and the, oh my gosh, is there any greater way to go over and tangle each other in a bunch of mess? The world is going to come to a point where it's going to explode. And we'll probably look at that next week or the week after. But take a break, take some notes, and we'll see you again next week.